When I refused to follow a superstition, my husband's mother panicked, screaming, "You're bringing a curse to this family." My husband pleaded, "Just do it to make her feel better." Instead, I did something else. The next week, she received a call that turned her world upside down. I, 34 female, am not a superstitious person. I don't believe in bad omens, curses, or the whole energy thing that some people are obsessed with. My husband, Mark, 36 male, also isn't superstitious, at least, I thought he wasn't. Turns out, when put in a situation where logic goes against making his mom happy, he picks her every time. His mother, Agnes, is deeply superstitious. Like, doesn't leave the house on certain days, carries a lucky chicken feather in her purse, and has a personal psychic on speed dial, kind of superstitious. The first time I met her, she read my aura by making me hold a piece of quartz while she whispered over it. When I didn't react properly to her findings, she decided I was skeptical, correct, and that I needed to be careful, whatever that meant. Fast forward to when Mark and I bought our first home. It's a charming old house in New Orleans, and we loved it immediately. But Agnes? The second she saw it, she made a face like I'd just shown her a crime scene. "You didn't check the history before buying?" she asked, eyes wide. I told her the house was built in the 1940s, had a few previous owners, but no weird history. No murders, no disappearances, nothing haunted. "That you know of," she said, shaking her head. I laughed it off. Bad idea. A week after moving in, Agnes showed up unannounced. In one hand, she held a bundle of dried sage, and in the other, a giant container of salt. "We need to cleanse the house," she said, brushing past me like she owned the place. Mark, instead of backing me up, just sighed and said, "Babe, let's just do it to make her feel better." No, absolutely not. I told her I wasn't doing a salt ritual, and that if she was that worried, she could do it herself. Agnes gasped, like I just announced I was sacrificing a goat in the living room. "It won't work unless the lady of the house does it." I rolled my eyes. "We're fine, Agnes. The only thing haunting this house is the water pressure in the upstairs bathroom." Mark gave me a look. Just let her do her thing." "No," I said. "I'm not going to stand here rubbing salt on my doors like a lunatic." Agnes went pale. Then she started muttering under her breath. Then came the full-on wailing. "You're bringing a curse to this family," she shrieked. She turned to Mark, grabbing his arm with a grip that could break bones. "Tell her. Make her do it." Mark hesitated. "Babe, just no." Agnes glared at me like I was the human embodiment of a shattered mirror. Then she stormed out, still muttering about dark energy and bad omens. I thought that was the end of it. It wasn't. A week later, Mark's phone rang. I barely had time to react before I heard screaming through the speaker. It was Agnes. "It's happening. The curse. It's happening. You have to come now." Mark jumped up so fast he knocked over his coffee. "Mom, what? What's happening?" The psychic is dead." Now, I had no idea what she was talking about. Apparently, Agnes had been seeing the same psychic for over a decade. A woman named Miss Patty. She called me last year and warned me that if I didn't cleanse my home and my family, the dark energy would come to collect. I burst out laughing. I couldn't help it. Mark shot me a look and grabbed his keys. "Let's just go check on her." We drove to Agnes's house, and she was sitting at the kitchen table, looking like she'd seen a ghost. "She died, Mark," Agnes whispered, gripping his arm. "Just days after your wife refused the cleansing." I pinched the bridge of my nose. "She was an old woman, Agnes." "She wasn't that old," Agnes snapped. "And that's not all. My cousin's son, he broke his leg yesterday. And this morning, my friend Susan called me. Her cat died." I looked at Mark, waiting for him to say something sane. Instead, he rubbed his face and muttered, "Babe. I know it sounds crazy, but maybe just do it now? Just in case." I could not believe this was happening. "No," I said again. Agnes stood so fast her chair screeched against the tile. "Then whatever happens next is on you." At this point, I was done. If logic wasn't going to work, maybe I needed to fight fire with fire. I called my friend Priya. Now, Priya is not a witch, but she is a psychology major who loves messing with people. The next morning, I showed up at Agnes's house with my own cleansing supplies. I had a bundle of dried rosemary, basil, and mint, straight from my kitchen, a small bowl of black salt, actually just charcoal and table salt, and a fake spell I copied from a random fantasy book. I waved the herbs around dramatically, muttered some nonsense, and then threw the salt in a circle. Then I clapped my hands 3 times and took a deep breath. Agnes's eyes were huge. What was that?" I looked her dead in the eye and said, countering the curse. Mark had to leave the room to keep from laughing. Agnes stared at me for a long time. Then, finally, she whispered, I felt something. A shift. I nodded solemnly. By the next day, she was convinced the dark energy was gone. She told her friends that I had protected the family. And Mark? He still sleeps next to me every night, knowing damn well I got the last laugh. For a while, things were peaceful. Agnes stopped muttering about curses every time she saw me. She even smiled at me during dinner once, which was a first. She had fully convinced herself that my counter-curse worked. Mark was relieved, and honestly, so was I. But then, strange things started happening. It started small. A picture frame in our hallway fell off the wall in the middle of the night. No earthquake, no breeze, just a loud crash at 2 a.m. Mark shot up in bed. What was that? I groaned and pulled the blanket over my head. The ghost of common sense trying to get your mom to let this go. He didn't laugh. He got up, checked the hall, and came back pale. The nail is still in the wall, he said. It didn't just fall. It was like, knocked off. I rolled over. Then we have a very aggressive draft, and I'll deal with it in the morning. Mark didn't say anything, but I could tell he wasn't convinced. Then, a few days later, I woke up to find our front door wide open. We have a security system. No alarms went off. No forced entry. No signs of anyone breaking in. Mark double-checked everything. The lock isn't broken, he muttered. It's like, it just unlocked itself. I sighed. Mark, you probably forgot to lock it. I did lock it. I rolled my eyes. Then we have a very polite burglar who just wanted some fresh air. But deep down, I started feeling uneasy. When Agnes called later that day, I almost didn't pick up. But something told me I should. She skipped the small talk. You need to come over. Now. I frowned. Agnes, what? I had a dream, she said breathlessly. A vision. I pinched the bridge of my nose. Agnes, I swear, you were in danger, she whispered. The cleansing, it wasn't enough. That caught my attention. I laughed, but it felt forced. So what now? Do I need to sacrifice a goat in the backyard? This isn't a joke. I sighed and agreed to come over, mostly to prove to her, and myself, that nothing was wrong. But when I got there, she looked terrified. I saw a shadow in my dream, she said. It was in your house. I didn't have the patience for this. Agnes, you've been saying something bad was coming since the day we moved in. Eventually, something was going to happen. It's called life. She shook her head. No, this is different. I was about to shut it down when she reached into her pocket and pulled out a small black bag. I took a step back. Oh, hell no. It's protection, she insisted. I refused to take it, but she shoved it into my hands anyway. Put this under your bed, she said. Do not open it. No matter what. I wanted to throw it in the trash right then and there, but something in her eyes made me pause. So I took the bag home. And that's when things got so much worse. That night, I had the worst sleep of my life. I kept waking up, feeling like someone was watching me. At one point, I swore I heard whispering. Mark was fast asleep, but I lay there, heart pounding, listening. Then bang. Something slammed against the bedroom wall. I sat up so fast I nearly fell out of bed. Mark shot up next to me. We both turned toward the noise. Nothing was there. But then we heard it. Footsteps. Slow, deliberate, coming from the hallway. Mark grabbed his phone and turned on the flashlight. He got up, heart racing, and opened the door. The hallway was empty. But our bedroom door? It had scratches on it. The next morning, I was done. I grabbed the bag Agnes gave me and yanked it open. Inside was a bundle of herbs, some kind of string, and something that looked like dried bones. Nope. Absolutely not. I drove straight to Agnes's house and threw the bag on her kitchen table. What the hell did you give me? She gasped. You opened it? Yes, I opened it. And you know what? Ever since I brought that thing home, weird stuff has been happening. Agnes looked genuinely shaken. You should have never opened it. I scoffed. It's a bag of sticks and dirt. Why would that do anything? She swallowed hard. Because it wasn't for you. I frowned. What? She hesitated. That bag was meant to trap something. If you opened it, you might have let it out. I stared at her. You are not serious. Agnes's hands were shaking. Did you see anything? I hesitated. I wanted to tell her she was crazy. But the scratches on the door, the footsteps, the whispering. Something in my stomach twisted. And for the first time since this whole thing started, I wasn't so sure she was wrong. I left Agnes's house feeling sick. The whole drive home, I kept telling myself she was being ridiculous. But the moment I stepped inside our house, something felt off. It was quiet. Too quiet. Mark was at work and normally, I'd hear the hum of the fridge, the creak of the old wood floors, something. But there was nothing. Then, as I set my bag down, I noticed the air felt heavy. Like the atmosphere before a storm. I shook it off and went about my evening. I turned on some music, made a snack, and sat in the living room, scrolling through my phone. That's when I saw it. Out of the corner of my eye, something moved. A dark shape, just outside the doorway, vanishing the second I looked up. My stomach dropped. I froze, every hair on my body standing up. I forced a laugh. Great. Now I'm scaring myself. But I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't alone. I didn't say anything to Mark at first. I wasn't about to feed into this nonsense. But the next night, he saw something. I was in bed reading when he walked in, his face pale. "Hey," he said, voice uneasy. "Did you just walk past me?" I frowned. "I've been in bed for the last 20 minutes. He swallowed hard. "I saw someone. A shadow. I thought it was you." My mouth went dry. I tried to brush it off. "Maybe it was your reflection?" No, his voice was firm. "It was in the hallway. And when I looked, it was gone." We stared at each other for a long moment. Then, for the first time since this whole thing started, Mark whispered, "Do you think your mom was right?" I wanted to say no. I wanted to tell him this was all in our heads. But I didn't. Because deep down, I wasn't so sure anymore. The next day, things escalated. Mark had left for work, and I was home alone again. I tried to keep busy cleaning, watching TV, anything to shake the uneasy feeling. Then, while I was folding laundry, I heard it. A thump. It came from the bedroom. I froze. Listened. Another thump. I grabbed my phone and slowly walked down the hall. My heart pounded as I reached the bedroom door. It was coming from the closet. I swallowed hard. The door was slightly open, a sliver of darkness peeking through. I took a deep breath, yanked it open, nothing. Just clothes. Boxes. The usual. I exhaled, shaking my head. But just as I turned away, bang. The door slammed shut behind me. I screamed and ran out of the room so fast I nearly tripped. I didn't go back in for hours. And when I did, the closet door was wide open. That night, Mark and I checked the closet together. We found nothing. No animals, no loose hinges, no explanation. But when we woke up the next morning, the scratches on our bedroom door were worse. Deeper. Longer. Like something had been clawing at it. Mark didn't go to work that day. We sat in the living room, trying to figure out what to do. Maybe we should. "I don't know. Actually, bless the house," Mark finally said. I sighed. "And tell your mom she was right?" "No way." But Mark wasn't laughing anymore. "I think something is really wrong, babe." Before I could answer, knock, knock, knock. Someone was at the door. It was our neighbor, an older woman named Mrs. Landry. She looked uncomfortable, glancing behind her like she didn't want to be seen. "I hope I'm not bothering you," she said. "But I heard from someone that your mother-in-law tried to cleanse the house." Mark and I exchanged a look. "Yeah, why?" She hesitated. Then she stepped closer and lowered her voice. "Did she tell you about the previous owner?" My stomach twisted. "She told us there was nothing weird about the house." Mrs. Landry pursed her lips. Then she didn't look hard enough. She sighed and glanced back at our house like it made her uneasy. "The man who lived here before you, he moved out overnight. Left everything behind. He wouldn't even come back for his furniture." I felt a chill run through me. "Why?" She hesitated. Then she said, "Because he swore something was living in the walls." Mark and I went completely still. Mrs. Landry sighed. "He said he'd hear whispers at night. That doors would open on their own. That he'd see shadows." Mark let out a slow breath. "Did he ever say what it was?" She hesitated again. Then she said something that made my blood run cold. "He said it didn't want him. It was waiting for someone else." I swallowed hard. "Someone else?" She nodded. "A woman. Someone new." The hair on my arm stood up. Mark wrapped an arm around me, pulling me close. Mrs. Landry exhaled. "I thought it was nonsense." I really did. But I've lived on the street for 30 years, and I've seen a lot of people come and go from that house. None of them lasted. I wanted to tell her she was wrong. That this was all just superstition. But deep down, I knew she wasn't. Because I wasn't sure how much longer we would last, either. After Mrs. Landry left, the house felt different. It wasn't just me anymore. Mark saw it too. Heard it. Felt it. We tried to act normal. We went to work. We cooked dinner. We watched TV. But every night, we both lay awake, waiting. Listening. The whispers came more often now. The scratches grew deeper. The house seemed alive. And Agnes? She knew. She called Mark constantly, her voice frantic. "You have to leave the house. Take your wife and get out." But I refused. I was tired of playing into her paranoia. Tired of feeling afraid in my own home. So instead, I did the one thing I swore I'd never do. I called a psychic. I found her online, a woman named Celeste, with a reputation for being the real deal. When she arrived, She stood in our living room for a long time, eyes closed, breathing deeply. Then she opened her eyes and said one thing: "You should not be here." Mark and I exchanged a glance. "Why?" I asked, my voice unsteady. She studied me carefully. "Because it isn't after the house. It's after you." The room spun. Mark grabbed my hand. "What do you mean?" Celeste frowned. "Whatever this is, it was waiting for someone like her." She gestured to me. "It was drawn to you. The moment you refused the cleansing, it knew you were the one." I felt sick. I shook my head. That's ridiculous." But then Celeste said something that made my blood run cold. "Has anything followed you before? Shadows? Unexplained noises? A feeling that someone was there when you were alone?" My mouth went dry. Because the truth was, yes, even before this house. Even as a child. I remembered moments, seeing things in the dark, feeling watched, hearing whispers. I had always ignored it, always brushed it off as my imagination. Celeste must have seen the look on my face because she nodded. "This thing was waiting for you long before you came here. The house just gave it a reason to show itself." That night, Agnes showed up at our house. She was furious. "You called a psychic?" she shouted at Mark. "After everything I warned you about? You brought more darkness into this house." Mark tried to calm her down, but she wasn't having it. She turned to me, eyes blazing. "This is your fault. You refused the blessing. You mocked me." I snapped. "My fault?" I shot back. "You think I wanted this? You're the one who brought all this fear into our lives. You let superstition rule you, and now Mark is trapped between you and me because you can't accept that not everything is about you." Agnes recoiled like I had slapped her. Mark looked torn, caught between us. He swallowed. "I just don't want to lose either of you." But then, as if the house itself was reacting to our anger, the lights flickered. The temperature dropped. And from the hallway, a whisper, not just a sound, a voice. It spoke my name. And it came from the closet. I don't know what made me move. Maybe it was anger. Maybe it was exhaustion. But I grabbed a flashlight and stormed into the hallway, ignoring Mark and Agnes's protests. I yanked open the closet door. Darkness. But the air was thick, like the space itself had weight. I stepped inside. The floor creaked beneath me. The light from my flashlight barely cut through the blackness. Then, a shape. It wasn't a person. It wasn't solid. It was wrong. A shifting darkness, just beyond the light's reach. And then it moved. Straight toward me. I screamed. Mark pulled me out of the closet so fast I nearly fell. He slammed the door shut. Agnes was praying under her breath, her hands shaking. I was shaking too. I didn't know what I had just seen, but I knew one thing. We had to leave. We packed in a single night. We didn't talk. We didn't sleep. We just left. By morning, we were at a hotel. By the end of the week, the house was listed for sale. A month later, we were at Agnes's house when the call came. The real estate agent. "Something weird happened," she said. "We had an interested buyer. He came to see the house, but when he walked inside, he immediately turned around and left." Mark frowned. "Why?" The agent hesitated. He said he heard whispering. A cold chill ran down my spine. Then she added, and before he left, he said something else. Something really odd. I gripped the phone tighter. "What did he say?" The agent exhaled. He said, "It's still waiting." We never went back to the house. We moved across the city, into a newer place with no history. Agnes never forgave me for what happened, but she stopped pushing her superstitions on me. She got what she wanted. I believed her now. Mark and I don't talk about it much. But sometimes, late at night, I'll catch him staring at the bedroom door. Just watching. And sometimes, I still wake up feeling like something is watching me. I don't know if it's over. I don't know if it ever will be. But I do know one thing. I should have never opened that bag.